This video is for those that are either entirely new or nearly new to Path of Exile. Whether you're new to the genre or want to try out a great new action RPG, Path of Exile can be a ton of fun. However, with so many options and so much to do, it can be a little overwhelming to newer players. What this small video series aims to do is to make the game as accessible as possible to new players who want to jump in on the experiences the game can provide. Now, I'm no expert, and there aren't many people that are, but I do know there are a few things that I'd wish I'd known before I got started with Path of Exile. I want to share those with you. In this first video, we'll be discussing the basics of the character class selection, take our first look at how skill and support gems work, and some third-party sources and tools that will come in very handy if your first look at the passive skill tree leaves you a little intimidated. Alright, so you're all downloaded, installed, and ready to fire up the game. Click on Create a Character, and the first thing you see talks about leagues. So let's hit Login. We'll create a brand new character. So here we have a first thing talking about leagues. So what do you want? You should pick Standard, right? Well, not exactly. Standard is a version of the game that includes content from all across Path of Exile's history. Because of that, it can be a little less popular since people like playing with the newest mechanics and content. The middle option, or what the current league might be, in this case Crucible, is usually the one you'll want to choose. Solo Self-Found is exactly what it sounds like. No trading with other players, and no getting into a party. Ruthless is also straightforward, a much more difficult playthrough. If it's one of your first playthroughs, I recommend not checking either box. Now comes the choice, and not just about what class you want to play. We'll get to that in a minute. You can absolutely have a ton of fun picking a class that looks cool, playing around with your build, trying stuff that seems fun, and doing it all yourself. However, just because of the nature of the game, unless you pick a very optimized path, which is hard to do in your first couple go-rounds, you'll likely hit a big difficulty wall at some point and get stuck. This can lead to frustration and not wanting to play anymore before you even get into the meat of the content. This happened to me the first couple times I played. So here's what you can do to help. Look up some existing builds. I'm sure there are others, but some great sites for this include poebuilds.cc, poe-vault.com, and the Path of Exile forums. For this example, we'll be looking at PoE Vault. At the top here, you can see the 7 classes, as well as their specializations that will unlock later in the game for each of them. Aside from that, the difference are cosmetic and minute differences in stats that don't really matter later in the game. So you can see we have our Duelist builds, Shadow builds, Marauder, Witch, Ranger, Templar, and Scion. If you have any experience with any other action RPG type games, here's where that can come in handy. When I play a certain other RPG developed by a weather system based company, I like to play classes that have lots of little critters that help me out, whether that's animal pets, undead pets, I'm not fussy. Here's where I see the Witch subclass, Necromancer, and look into that. If nothing jumps out at you right away, try reading some of the class and subclass descriptions, just like here, and just go with what sounds fun to you. For now, let's go deeper with the Necromancer build. And once you pick a subclass, you'll see several different builds submitted by users. These have different tags to describe one. This one says it's a good league starter, which means it's a build you'll be able to have the core of down before you hit endgame content. It's also low budget, and a good all-rounder. Once you find one you like, I'd really recommend bookmarking it, as there will be lots of other good content and commentary on the build. Read the intro or description, and double check it sounds like the playstyle you want. Some builds may even have demonstration videos, like here, pros and cons listed in the build, playstyle lists, all different things that help you decide whether it's the kind of build you want to go with. Once you're good to go, let's click on the PoB and passive skill tree link. Or you can scroll down, it's usually listed right there. We may know what a passive skill tree is, but what's PoB? Well, it stands for Path of Building, a free third-party program that you can download through the link in the description. Where do I go to get the program? Well, you go to pathofbuilding.community or follow the link in the description below. Here's the website it'll bring you to. Simply click on Grab the latest release, and then you can download either the executable or the zip file. Once it's installed, here's what it looks like. Once it's installed and you open it up, here's what you'll see, minus these existing builds of mine. Go ahead and click up on New up at the top. From here, If you want, you can play around and do all kinds of things to make up builds of your own, but for right now, we're focusing on our Necromancer. We're going to go back to our class page on PoE Vault and copy this link. Switch back to Path of Building. Click on Import. Paste the link we copied here to import a build, enter the URL code here. Now, if everything was valid, this green message should pop up saying that the URL is valid. And click on Import. And here's our Necromancer. A complex and sometimes overwhelming process laid out bare for us to see and follow in our way to making a super fun character. I know this seems like a lot of work before we even hit play, but I want you to get the most out of the time you put into the game. Alright, so let's head back to the game. Here now, since we know we're playing a witch, we're going to select our character. Here we can see we're playing our Crucible character. We're going to name her. And we're finally in. Waking up from our little beach nap, this guy here not having such a good time, we pick up our first weapon, and it'll automatically equip for us. This weapon will change depending on what initial class you are. Here we picked up a wand since we're playing as our witch. Now, this guy's dying exile, not having such a good time. We click on him, pick up some story, and then we kill his zombie friend real quick. That'll drop your first skill gem. Now you'll pick it up, and you should see in your inventory that it matches one of these slots in your weapon. Now these little tutorials pop up as well. If it's your first time playing, really recommend watching and reading those. They can teach you a lot. In order to equip the skill gem, you simply left click on it, and then left click on one of the matching color corresponding spots in the weapon. You'll see once you drop it in, then in the bottom right hand corner, you'll have a skill that hopefully was the skill from that gem. Equip in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Should automatically be assigned to your right click, assuming you're using a mouse. You can always shuffle those around later if you like as well. Now, we work our way down the beach using your skills, your default attack on left click, and your flasks. And then you can see in the bottom left are bound to keys 1, 2, and 5 automatically. 1 and 2 being health potions, and 5 being a mana potion that will help refill your mana, assuming you're using it all for your skills, and making sure that you don't die. Now, as you work your way down the beach, you will eventually run into a chest. Opening this chest up here reveals your first support gem. Similar to our first skill gem, open up your inventory, left-click on the support gem, and left-click in a color-coded spot that matches it. Now, when you do this, you'll be able to see that your skill gem and your support gem are actually linked together using this little golden link. That means that the support gem and its effects affect any other skills that it's linked to, even if it has to go through several other gems to get to it. But in this case, the Arcane Surge support supports our Fireball spell. And congratulations, that's basically how all skills and skill gems work throughout Path of Exile. Now, yes, when you start getting multiple gem-linked sockets and 6-link sockets in your equipment, it does get more complex, but that's the basics of it. That's all it is. So, for now, let's keep working our way down the beach, and eventually, you'll run into your first boss. Kill him, and you'll get your first passive skill tree point. Don't worry, we'll get into that later. And you'll unlock your first settlement of Lion Eyes Watch. We'll touch on those in the next video, don't worry. So, for now, I hope you were able to pick up a few things from this video, and if you're getting into Path of Exile for the first time, or getting back into it after a while, I hope you enjoy your time. I'd love to hear about what builds you're excited to try in the comments below, and if you have anything particular that you want to know about Path of Exile in future videos, don't forget to mention them. Keep in mind this particular series will be more for new players, so in-depth endgame content won't really be discussed. Right now, anyways. Thanks for watching, I hope to hear from you soon, and I'll see you again. For now, I'll leave you with the first boss kill and the first major loot drop of many, many to come. See y'all later.